When I got the text message, I actually had a couple of influencers in the car. I had just picked up at LAX. I was sitting in traffic. As soon as I could, I texted her back and I said, well, I'll call you tomorrow and we could talk about it. And she's like, well, no, I don't call. I only text. I'm not good on the phone. And I'm like, who are you telling this to? Because we talk on the phone like all the time.
Yeah.
So it just felt more like my way or the highway kind of thing was what I was starting to feel like. And so I reached out to her manager, her mother. She didn't answer. I didn't leave a voicemail, but I get a text message sometime later that day or the next day saying, well, I see that you called. I'm sure you want to talk to me about this, but, I think you should just text Jaclyn. And I'm like, but okay, but we're not 15. This isn't like ninth grade. Like we're grown women.
In business.
And this is not the kind of conversation that you want to have
over text.
But I wanted to hear her out, but I also wanted to let her know how I felt about it. She just wasn't willing to do that. And I was like, okay, then it's going to have to wait, because I had this launch party, so many things going on. We had a product launch coming. And then a couple of weeks later, I received like what I would consider an extremely nasty email without ever having exchanged a crossword. It seemed very out of place.
Okay.
It was angry.
From Jaclyn.
Yeah. There was a lot of gaslighting in it. And she texted me and told me that I just sent an email to you. And she told me what email address it was at. And, so I was very upset. And I picked up and I left her. I was very upset, because she had said at the end, I want to disconnect from your brand. And I was like,
that's what she said in the email.
Yeah. And I said to her, you know what, like, really, thank you for everything. I'm perfectly fine with our business relationship ending. I'll have your name off the website. I wish you nothing but success, like that kind of thing. I had to really, really take a breath. People who didn't even know me were sticking up for me. So why is this person who really knows me,
who calls you mama,
so quick to throw me under the bus? It just felt...
So what was her main reason for wanting to part ways? Was it the Karina Kaboom stuff?
She indicated that in the initial email, but like I said, we were talking about it for the 2 months in between. And she was like, no, I'm not getting hate. No, this is overly dramatic. Like, this girl's something else, like that kind of thing. So, so that wasn't the case then. And like I said, it wasn't even the case in the morning of the day that she sent me that first, or the afternoon of the day she sent me that first text. But what I do know that did happen in between was the Becca launch had happened. And
do you think they were telling her, like, you can't work with anyone else?
No, but we paid her a good amount of money, like I said, for a small brand. But she made multiples of what she made with us in a year.
Yeah.
With Morphe on just the Jaclyn Hill Favorites palette. And she shared with me like what she was earning. And it was like I said, a significant multiple of what she had earned with us in an entire year. And I think it was just to the point where, I can cut her loose. I got something better. I feel like it was more like that. And the Becca launch had happened in early July. And so...
This is for Champagne Pop, her highlighter.
Yes. And that was supposed to be a one-shot deal with X number of units that were ordered. And that was it. But it sold out on Sephora. It never even went into store. It was sold out online in an hour or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember.
They said they were selling like 1,200 units a minute. It was, crazy. The biggest launch Sephora had ever had. I think their website even crashed.
Wow.
I bought 10 of them to support her. Like I said, we were talking about it, and they did let me know that day that they had already placed a significant PO for more, and that they were going to meet to talk about, how to further their collaborations in the future. So I think there was a lot more money coming down the pike that was going to be, I wouldn't sneeze at $500,000, but it was going to be many, many, many times that.
So she tells you to take it off, and you said that you removed it from your website within 48 hours.
The product?
No, her images, her logo, her, like the whole kind of splash page that was all centered around Jaclyn and her collections.
Then did she email you saying that she didn't want to get anything messy, but she demanded you pay her $250,000?
Yes.
For what?
Well, I was confused about that too. So I asked that. What do I get? Like,
because she's already made commission. What was the setup? Was it an upfront payment that you gave her to collaborate on the product, or is it like a percentage of sales?
No, I paid her 30% commission.
Okay.
Plus a royalty for each unit sold.
Okay. So then she wants an additional $250,000 just for parting ways?
Correct.
Were you confused?
Very much so. Yeah.
She says, with that being said, and this is all, you posted this on Reddit recently.
I did, yeah.
And she says, my likeness will continue to be attached to 1995 Rose Hill, Buttercup, and Buttercream, since they are colors that I created/named and branded on my YouTube channel. And I'm willing to allow their sale on GerardCosmetics.com in exchange for $250,000. I'm aware that my colors are top sellers and will continue to be lucrative for your business, and that people will continue to recognize these shades as my creations. If we cannot agree on a buyout, I would respectfully request the colors be removed.
But I didn't understand why I would buy back my own product. She could say all day long, I created this and I created that, but no, you didn't. And at some point in the emails, I did say to her, well, if you created them, you have my permission to recreate them in your new brand.
Yeah.
If you created them, then you should be able to recreate them, right?
Yeah.
It should be easy.
Yeah.
But we all know that's
so
not
she felt like
happening.
even the names were hers. So her process of creating is just getting samples and picking one out and then coming up with a name.
Yeah.
Okay. And she wants
And
a
in that
$250,000
case, I mean, like I said, I know that I named at least one of them. And, I mean, I didn't really want to get into the tit for tat of who, like this, that, or the other thing. But how are you gonna ask when, obviously I paid her a lot more than I made off of things, because I have obviously a lot of expenses associated with my side of the deal. And so to me, that was an investment in our relationship, and I was fine with that. I don't think I ever thought it would be as big as it was, but it was a very healthy amount, much more than the standard in the industry, which is like, 10 or 15%. So I felt like I was more than generous.
30%, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And, making products here in the US is a lot more expensive than making products in China. Like, and so, when you're working with a brand like Morphe, where back then I think most everything was made overseas, the product cost is very small.
And you claim that she threatened to make a video about you. And it never happened, though.
She made a Snapchat video. She was going to make a YouTube video. Is what I want to start talking about this.
And was this because did you tell her you weren't going to pay her this amount of money?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I let her tell me why she thought. Please do enlighten me as to how you come up with that I need to pay for my own, buy my own product back from myself.
Yeah.
We're not talking about anything with custom packaging. It's all Gerard Cosmetics packaging. There's no branding of hers on the products. Now, once her stuff is off the website and all of that stuff, it's like, where is your likeness?
Yeah.
Right? Like, where is your likeness? You've been paid very handsomely for what you've done.
Do you mind if I share how much she made in your collaboration?
No, I mean, it's public.
It's public?
It. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was well
$600,000 in 13 months.
500.
It's a lot of money.
So she never posted the video, though, because you think she was...
Well, defamation is a funny thing. If you're telling the truth, you can't be defaming somebody. But if you're not telling the truth, you get yourself in a lot of trouble. And, I'm not somebody that's like looking to, have legal issues with people and stuff like that. But we're talking about, the livelihood of 60 people, 50 of which have already lost their jobs because of this situation now in 2023. We're talking about the livelihood of like my employees and their families. If you're going to go on and tell untruths, we're going to have a problem. And I let that be known. That if there was a video made, my lawyer and I would be watching. So when she made the Snapchat, I feel like she was careful to talk but not say anything.
Gotcha.
And just throw out the inference. And then there would be shady comments like, because people would say, well, when are you going to tell us why you aren't working with them anymore? And it would be like, oh, well, I just don't like the way they do business. I just think they're shady. Like that kind of thing where it's not enough to, warrant, bringing any kind of thing, but it's enough to cause damage.
Yeah.
And, I had to just do a lot of breathing.
Yeah. I mean, it seems very spiteful as someone who you were friends with her, considered yourself part of the family. She calls you Mama Jen. You're a small business owner. Now she's making a lot of money with all these bigger brands. It seems very, essentially you think that she was extorting you by saying you either pay me this or I'm going to try and ruin you.
It felt like that. And I felt like I was being squashed because I didn't follow her direction and have a text conversation, over this, which, like I said, I just wasn't going to do. It just, like I'm my own person. Right or wrong, I am my own person. And I will do and say what I think is right. I'll listen to other people's perspectives, plenty of people have changed my mind, given me great ideas and stuff over time. But when you're going to say, well, no, we're going to do it my way.
Right.
It just wasn't something that I could do even in that moment.